us. We don't wanna trouble me, no one love us. Coming out of place, you not interrupt. I know that you watching me, you ain't gotta tell me much. No, I'm not cocky. My God, don't bless me. Oh, I'm so wavy. Oh, I'm so wavy. No, I'm not lucky. My God, don't bless me. Oh, I'm so wavy.
Hey guys, welcome to Insync. I'm Oyin, joined by my lovely co-host,
Victoria.
Esther.
And listen, today's topic means a lot. Like, it's deep. Like, you know, we're wearing the brown, we're representing, and first of all, I need you guys to really just open your ears and your heart to, you know, just understand and just be vulnerable during this episode. And we couldn't have done it without our lovely, lovely guests. And, you know, I want you to introduce yourselves.
My name is David Grant. I'm a therapist. I'm also known as psychotherapist, mental health therapist, whichever you're comfortable with. I have a business entitled Global Mind Emancipation, Educational and Counseling Services, where I provide individual, family, and couples counseling, as well as provide lectures and public presentations on a variety of topics related to African people in the diaspora. So that's a bit about me, and look forward to engaging in this very important conversation.
Mm-hmm. Amazing.
Thank you.
Wow, impressed, man. All right, guys, what's up? My name is Rukky. I am a pharmacist. All right, I am internationally trained, and I have businesses running currently in Nigeria. But over here, I'm big on mental health. I have written papers. I have also consulted with a lot of schools. Currently consulting with the Toronto Catholic School Board, all right, on various things that have to do with mental health, especially for the grade 2s to grade 5s, to be specific right now at the moment. And yeah, I can't just wait to see how much we dive into this matter.
It's nice hearing Black men in their professions and doing big things. Like, this is, I'm excited for this discussion.
Yeah. No, I'm really excited.
Let's dive in.
Let's go in. And, you know, yes, we're discussing mental health. And let me just go straight in. Do you feel like mental health is spoken about a lot, especially in the Black community?
Nope.
Why? Why do you feel that?
I feel like there's this stigma of if you say you're going to a therapist, people are going to be like, oh, you're crazy. You know, another thing is we don't have a lot of Black men talking about mental health. So I feel like this discussion is really good, especially now we're going to be hearing some perspectives between these two Black men. So I don't know, how are you guys feeling, especially with the stigma that's happening between, like, within our Black community?
Okay, I think there's a lot. You want to go first, brother?
I would say it's a topic that is not really talked about. I would say even as much as we think we have awareness about it in quote, there's a stigma, as I said, as regards, you know, and it's not just the Black community, I would say, just the general stigma about having to come out and say, I'm stressed, all right? Having to come out and say, we don't want to feel vulnerable. People don't want to feel that there's a problem, all right? And without a problem, we can never have a solution and everything. But as I said, people like, I believe us, come in the place and make you guys feel that, like, you know, pretty much you can be who you are. You're not alone in this journey. And it's okay to seek help, all right? Pretty much, so yeah.
I agree. The piece I always add to when we think about this idea of stigma and mental health in the Black community, we oftentimes put up this notion that mental health is stigmatized in the Black community, but the question that's never asked is why. And that has been, I guess you could say, an investigation that I've conducted from the time of my undergrad, even up until this point, and you know, and moving forward, is investigating why is mental health stigmatized in the Black community. Oftentimes we just think it is, but it hasn't always been that way. Back in the day, we always understood as mental health as being part of health. It was never separated. When did it become separated? When we had contact with white people, right? That's what history tells us. It was the Europeans who decided to separate mental health from overall health. This idea of dual Cartesian, right? Mind and body separated. Versus us, as African people, we've always understood mental health as a part of health, the biopsychosocial spiritual model. So when we think about stigma of mental health and Black people, we can't leave out slavery, where we were not allowed to be mentally ill because they didn't think we had the brain capacity to do so. We cannot leave out colonialism, which was chronic stress for almost 100 and something years. And so Black people have never had the opportunity to actually understand, to heal, and to actually have a time to conceptualize, what am I feeling? What am I processing? What we were doing? No, we were busy trying to conform. We were busy trying to survive.
To add to what you're saying, like what are we feeling? For me, mental health wasn't a big topic in my family. So I remember driving and my chest was feeling tight. And I was like, what is happening? And there were times where my chest would feel tight, but I would just ignore it. But this time it was getting tight. I was out of breath. I was like, what's going on?
Panic attack.
So I drove to the side. And I just started drinking water. So then I went to my family doctor, and I went to a clinic, like a walk-in clinic, and I was like to my family doctor, I was like, yo, my chest has been feeling tight. Like, I don't know what's going on. Like, do I have asthma? And she was like, you have anxiety. And I'm like, what is that? Like, what do you mean I have anxiety? What are you talking about? And so this conversation of knowing what mental health is and kind of knowing the difference between health and mental health, I think is a really important discussion, because I had to now deal with this thing that I have anxiety and trying to like understand it and process it. Have you guys ever been in a situation where you didn't even know you were experiencing mental health, or what was your idea of mental health growing up?
Yeah.
Like personally, okay, well, to go back to what we were discussing about, within the Black community, right, I feel like it's a taboo, right? If you talk about it. If you say, oh, I'm feeling stressed, or like I'm going through depression, like people look at you funny, especially within your own community. And that's why a lot of people don't talk, right? And they suffer in silence. And then a lot of people, unfortunately, commit suicide, or, you know, they just die slowly, right?
We even talk about bringing the religion factor into it.
I was gonna literally talk about that.
Because this is what I'm actually experiencing right now. You might even talk from, you said you consult with the older guys, like, you know, married couples and stuff.
Yes.
With the kids right now, a lot of these guys are in families where they're so religious and everything. And even in their small communities and everything, you can't talk about it because they're taking you to the priest. I told you I work with a Catholic school, but isn't it? They're taking you to the priest for confessions and all that kind of stuff. Or you're in smaller gospel groups whereby they have to talk about, but they're not hitting the problem, all right? And even at that, you might even think that we're still under the religious capacity, but it's still stigmatized.
Yes.
So it's just a whole lot.
I agree. They really feel like it's a taboo. And I feel like African parents know what it is, but they don't want to accept it because they feel like they have to it's a big hold and a big thing to hold on.
Because you know what? So two things. So why we have the mental health become this taboo is because we've been in survival mode. We didn't have the opportunity to do that. And so
the resources.
Resources, right? So for one, we've always been in survival mode, even when we've come to the UK, when we come to the States, when we come to Canada, even when we come to these countries, we're in survival mode. Why? Because we're having to unfortunately play catch up because of racism. And you were a doctor back in Nigeria, you were an engineer back in Jamaica, now you're a taxi driver and a factory worker. And you're confused because you're like, I have my doctorate and now I'm working in a factory. So you're in survival mode, right? So when you're saying this idea of mental health to an adult who's in survival mode, they're like, that's not a priority right now. Because that leads me to the second piece. They equate mental health with Western or European understandings of mental health. And so they're saying, well, that's a white people thing, right? That's what I heard growing up. That's a white people thing. Because they say white people get stressed. White people slit their wrists when the lights go off, right? And so because we're so used to being strong, you see how warped it becomes. We're so used to being strong. And we don't want to be equated with those sort of weaknesses, quote unquote. We then kill ourselves to uphold this image of what it means to be our respective cultures. And then the only time we see ourselves able to get vulnerable is through the church, right? And it's no issue if it's the church and the church is actually providing that mental health care. The problem is the church also is miseducated on mental health. So that becomes the issue, and religiosity ends up just being a coping mechanism.
And on top of that, because we're on survival mode, we don't have the time to dissect what's actually happening here. We just want to survive. That's it.
David, I love that you said we as Black people always have to be strong, because I do understand that men have to be strong, but as a Black woman for myself, I always feel like I need to be strong. I always feel like, okay, if I'm having issues at work, no, I can't say anything because I'm already a Black woman in this field and now I have issues, I can't speak up.
So or if you're defending yourself, they think you're aggressive. And because you're now holding everything in, it's like that causes stress, that causes anxieties, that causes depression, because you can't speak, you can't tell your family because it's taboo, you can't tell your workplace about, you can't, you know, push back, you're aggressive.
Can we even talk about the force of expression, because that's another thing I am so big on and everything. And it's so sad, especially even in the younger community and everything, where you can't really express yourself the way you want to. So we live in shadows of expression so that we hope that the person on the other side somewhat understands. Because if we fully blow out how expressive we are about how we truly feel, then we know that it's definitely going to be misunderstood. So why really talk about it?
Seeing a strong link between your mental health and your physical health, it's crazy.
It's honestly stress.
And we don't even take that. I feel like that's why it's so important to take mental health so seriously, because it does affect you physically. Like when I was having like my anxiety, I was also getting certain body pains. So it's like everything just works together. Like it just comes together. It's all connected.
And then on top of that, also is the foods that we eat that are high in salts. That's also going to trigger your hypertension.
So good.
I can't imagine not putting salt in jollof rice.
What does someone do when they're depressed? They eat sweets.
So emotional eating, and then on top of that, if you add poverty into the mix, right? If you don't have time to cook your home
afford your
food,
basic needs,
then exactly. So then what's cheaper? Going to the grocery and getting fruit, or getting McDonald's for $5, right? Which is down the road, versus the grocery store. Now you got to get out with 3 kids in the back, 5, 3, and 1.5. Versus you can go through the drive-through. So we have to also think of it from a pragmatic level. If you are a parent who just came off a night shift and you're exhausted, you're not thinking about cooking at that moment, right? So you're already stressed, then you're eating poorly, right? And then you're not being able to go to the doctor because who's watching the kids, right? So then your health is slowly going to diminish. And this is what's happening, all these intersecting factors. This is why we cannot separate mental health from overall health and disease.
Then when you now have the diseases, then you're not thinking about how to manage it. Then that brings even more. Like it's just the cycle that just intertwined.
No, I remember like my previous doctor, he's Nigerian, and my BP was ridiculously high, like stupid high. As a doctor, are you not meant to sit the patient down? Yo, what is going on? All they said is, just get some sleep, just, calm down, whatever is stressing you, calm down.
So I would say it's not in the scope of the.
It's not, but I feel like
what he could do is that he could have referred it to.
That's the word.
So that's the word.
I changed doctors
because of that.
And then it was too much. Like I didn't even know I was suffering from anxiety. So I changed doctors to like a different one, and she was like, "Okay, do you have benefits at work?" I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "Okay, if you don't, I'm gonna refer you to a therapist."
Exactly.
So you can talk. So it's like.
Because the
African, non-African doctor.
About your lifestyle.
That's it.
So how many hours of sleep do you do? Okay, they don't want to know the mental side. Like they just really bothered about what are you eating? Okay, cut down sweet stuff and everything. What your BMI, like your weight. Okay, well, I see that probably that could be a predisposing factor. So probably reduce your BMI should be around 25 or less thereabout. And so that's what they're really bothered about.
No, I feel like that's ridiculous because this African doctor, people go to him a lot, mostly Africans, right? So it's like...
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but it's like, okay, he's a great doctor. He's a great doctor and
he's
everything.
very busy, dude.
No, I get it. But the thing is, he's separating mental health to whatever health.
And they're looking at you probably like... Small girl
like you, what do you have to be stressed about? And
I hate that.
No, that's the truth. Because like, when I tell like my mom, I can't sleep, I have insomnia. She's like, why are you stressed? Like, when you don't, like, what's going on? But it's like, they don't dig deeper.
Because you can't.
That's why...
I'm sorry, to add to what Oyin said, when I went to my doctor too, she didn't even bring up anything with mental health. She just was telling me like, maybe you should just figure out what is really stressing you. First of all, doctor, I don't even know that I had anxiety. And to go into what stressed me, I actually didn't even know what was stressing me. So, like, I don't even know. So what I did was, I actually had to go on Google. And it just sucks that I understand doctors, they focus on the physical health, but I think there needs to be something that in their program or something that needs to happen where they talk about mental health. Because what I did was I went on Google and I actually just searched up anxiety and some of like what are some of the solutions. So the next step for me was then I went on this website called psychologytoday.com. And that's such an amazing website because you can choose the gender of your therapist, the religion of your therapist, and what you're going to your therapist for. And a lot of the therapists, they offer consultations where you can speak to them, like free consultations, we can speak to them for 30 minutes. And it's just, I didn't even know all of this. So I did go to my therapist. I found a really great therapist, and it was an amazing experience because she was able to go deep into what was really the cause of my anxiety. So, and it's just, I just wish more like doctors.
That's exactly it.
But ladies, I just also want to pinpoint on something. I can only speak on Nigerian parents, right? You also have to consider how our parents were raised, right? A lot of the times they couldn't even sit with their parents to talk about they couldn't even sit at the same table to eat when they're eating, right? So if you can't even sit with your dad when he's talking, what makes you think you can go and talk to him and be like, I'm suffering from something? He'd be like, go and sit down, Jerry. Like so it's like that. We also have to like think about that as well, like how our parents were raised. And so like honestly, being a psych student, I've understood people a lot more better, right? I feel like I'm a lot more lenient as to how people act because I know if you act a certain way, I know it stems from your childhood or probably from a trauma that you face, right?
That's it.
So you have to also understand your parents, how they were raised, and they subconsciously, they're carrying it down to you.
Exactly.
Right? So, and also you have to also take it within yourself to get that professional help as well, right? Because I know as Black people, you know, we're so ashamed to get help, but then sometimes you let it kill us, right? We don't have to let it get to that point.
I agree about, you know, you seeking help, but sometimes some people are not strong enough to go and seek that help themselves. Like it took my doctor and whatever experience I had to say, okay, Oyin, you need a therapist because people are not strong. They feel like they don't want to accept what they have.
That's why I feel like when you go to a therapist and you're more transparent, you're open, they're able to dissect and bring it back, like what you were saying, Victoria, to your childhood.
And uncover things that you never thought that were there.
You never thought.
You're giving me this, like I'm reminiscing right now. I lost my dad in 2020, I don't know whether it's this time to start talking about personal stuff, but like we can just dig into it. And how you feel that even the littlest thing, like even the thing that you feel that I shouldn't even talk about and everything is actually, so for me, I lost my dad in 2020, and after the whole burial, which was very, very stressful, and I couldn't even attend because of COVID and all that kind of good stuff. And I till now I've not even seen his grave. I'm hoping to go very, very soon. But I figured out that time and that moment, even for at least a year, Esther might have known a little bit about this. I was very angry at everything.
I have a question to ask you. Did things start to trigger you?
Oh my God.
I noticed that when you don't heal what's within, you can get triggered.
And for me, that I feel that I help people with counseling and all that kind of good stuff. It didn't dawn on me that like really there was something I was actually dealing with. Like, okay, I got like things that you would look over, like things that would, and then what did I do to cope? Very good question. What did I do to cope? I figured out that when I had to go in my room and cover myself up with my blanket and everything and just zone out and just tell myself that, okay, you know what, I'll just live to see another day, then I feel better. But I held that, I might not go into details of how I overcame it, all right? But even some of us that feel that we know these things, all right, still need help in our own little way. I don't know if you had any personal experience with that and everything, that you feel you had everything all figured out because you know what to do.
I actually want to, when you talked about anger, I want to get into that because that certainly comes to me, and this is where I did my thesis on and for my master's, and even moving forward, what I've really tried to focus on is this idea of anger. When I've understood anger when it comes to Black people, I've understood the importance of decoding anger, because anger has been, since unfortunately, since the time we've come into contact through colonialism or slavery with Europeans, the only socially and unfortunately culturally acceptable emotion. Think about it. I'm Jamaican, right? Nigerian, Ghanaian. One emotion that we unfortunately are okay to express is anger, right? If we're frustrated about something, we're allowed. We're not allowed to be sad, especially if you're a boy. But you're allowed to be angry. You're allowed to be frustrated. You're allowed to be upset. So you're allowed to get aggressive. That's the only acceptable emotion.
And if you don't even show that sort of aggression, then you're taking as less of who you are.
Yes, exactly. So then what I have to do, and I've seen this throughout the diaspora, I have people from Kenya, I have people from Ethiopia, I have people from Jamaica, from Trinidad, throughout the diaspora, and I've seen this consistent emotion of anger. And what I've had to do is I've had to decode it and say, okay, You were angry at this. Were you actually angry? To be honest, and they'll say, no, I wasn't. So what were you actually feeling? I was feeling anxious. But I couldn't let anybody know. I had to get angry. What about this time? Well, I was actually feeling fearful. But I couldn't let anybody know. So you were fearful at this time. What about this time? I was actually depressed, but I couldn't let anybody know, so I got angry. And so what I had to even do for myself, and the reason I got to that point is because I even for myself, there'd be times where I just get frustrated. So I'm married. I have 2 young kids, right? My wife is Jamaican as well. So yes, she's a black woman, everybody. So you know, so what I had to do for myself, because I find myself sometimes getting angry, right, at certain things, just snapping, right? And my wife would be like, "What's wrong with you?" And I'm like, I have to sit there. I'm like, what am I actually feeling right now? And when I started doing that, that's when it clicked to me. I said, I wonder if my clients are feeling actual different emotions that are concealed behind anger, because many people say anger is a secondary emotion to hide the primary emotion, right? So then there'll be times where I'm like, why am I feeling angry right now? I'm getting mad at my now almost 4-year-old son. But I'm realizing, okay, it's because I'm going to be anxious. We're going to be late for church, right? So then I get angry. But what I'm actually anxious, right? Because I'm like, I don't want to be late for church. So I have to say, I'm like, David, you're feeling anxious right now. All right, so-and-so, can you get ready, please? Let's go, Jeremiah, right? That's my son's name. There'll be other times where I'm just sad, but I get angry. I'm like, what am I actually feeling? I'm actually sad. So then I took that, and whether it was families, individuals, couples, even when I'd speak at different community groups, right? When they'd have me come speak and educate on mental health specifically for black people, I would do that. Let's decode the anger. So when you're in these certain moments, what are you actually feeling? Even gangsters. I've had brothers who have killed people who come to me for therapy, right? And they'll tell me, but between you and me, I was petrified. I didn't want to go to that drive-by. But you couldn't tell nobody, so you get angry.
Angry so that you get there.
So, but you're actually anxious. You're actually petrified. You're actually scared. You're actually sad. So this is what I've had to do for myself, and this is what we have to understand when it comes to our people, is a lot of our parents' aggression, a lot of our parents' angry outbursts is them actually not knowing how to communicate their vulnerable
You're totally
primary
right.
emotions.
Like, you're actually helping me decipher this. Just to get back to my story about my dad. So he had stroke for 13 years, yeah?
Yes.
And the plan really, I would say really this coming to Canada trip for me and all that kind of stuff really was that get here, get settled down, bring him in, all right, so that he can get the best medical care.
Yes.
All right? My mom just came in like last week Friday, really beautiful, did a really, really nice welcome party for her, like and everything, really, really beautiful. But he was supposed to be there with her. So every year, my prayer on the 31st night was like, Lord, just give this guy one more year, I bet you. Because I prayed that, and I told myself this, that I can't lose my dad. So that was another thing. So I figured out that life would lose existence without my dad.
You're fearful.
So I was fearful. Now that's what you're talking about.
Yes.
Life would lose existence because he suffered a lot before he died. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this was someone that had a very blossoming career and everything, was doing contracts with the government and stuff like that, and then had to be bedridden for 13 years. So, you know, this stroke thing is like a progressive illness. Like each year might bring, and he had complications of hypertension and diabetes and everything and all that kind of stuff. So you're just hoping that for him to have lived 5 years, oh my God, come on. You can 8 years is possible. Like you're hoping that it will happen. Then for him to live like 10 years, oh my God, then definitely he's coming out of it. 11th year, 12th year, come on, So I felt it was a progressive plan. Then when things fell apart was when he had pneumonia from nowhere. All right, and that shot up his blood glucose. Like, I would say it was just fluctuating up and down and stuff like that. But at the end of everything, he lost his he lost his life and everything. But I couldn't live with the realization that he had to go. But I was not ready for you to go. Like, you understand? I know it might be cliche to say, but like, because nobody's ready for death, isn't it?
Of course. But no, you're never ready.
So I think mine was fear and anxiety, and I felt I failed him. Like, okay, so because. Could I have fast-tracked things a little bit, but I couldn't do more than I could have done. Like, isn't it? So I couldn't help him. So I'll tell you that before he was put in the morgue, I told my brother to take a picture of his face. And I would tell you that when I was able to get over that fear of losing him was actually when I deleted that picture. So I couldn't help but not see the picture because I didn't see him when he was at his lowest. I felt that I should have been there for him. Couldn't have gone through Cotonou or Benin or whatever it is. Although I know, because remember that they stopped direct flights to Nigeria back then and everything. So you could either go through another country and stuff. Like, couldn't I have done that and everything? Like, even when they were shutting down borders and all that. But
you're fearful.
Then I had his picture with me. So every time I had to look at, every morning, it was like a ritual. Like, I feel like I'm praying with him. I feel like I'm talking with him and everything. But his neck tied up with the mouth sealed and everything. And I had to look at that picture every day. But I couldn't let go of the picture. Yeah. I also felt because of the fact that I didn't see him before he passed.
Lack of closure.
Like,
so I didn't. That was all I had.
Yes.
Yeah. But I really, want to just say that, I'm happy that you've moved on from it, and it's been. I know it's been a long journey. So it's like I'm just very happy that you're able to take one day at a time.
Exactly.
And I want to just quickly ask a question. I know we don't have much time, and I want to direct it to the ladies. Do you feel like, Victoria, do you feel like social media promotes, mental health, like go to therapy, or do you feel like social media even makes it worse to hide, when you have a problem, especially for Black men? So I feel like women, it's normal, whatever, for Black men.
Like, I was even going to ask the guys a question, but to answer your question, social media does not promote the betterment of mental health, right? If anything, I feel like it makes it even worse, right? Because, you have people flaunting, the better parts of their life. And, as you're scrolling on Instagram or Twitter or Snapchat, you're seeing people's, like, better side of their lives, right? And you're like, oh, I wish I had that. I wish I was, like, in this position as well. Whereas you don't even know what people are going through behind closed doors. So I think it actually makes it worse. I know that there's certain organizations like Bell. I know that they're trying to help with mental health, but it's like, we need to dig deeper.
They try to do that even with the kids. Like, it's really quick.
We need more.
I think they're using that to just boost their business. Like,
That's
really.
So businesses actually doing that.
If you're working with Bell, like your business.
No. Social media, I honestly believe it does not help. I think it makes it even worse. And social media is not for the weak. That's another thing, right?
Not.
So, but I did have a question for the men. Do you feel like it's hard for you to express your emotions, especially as men? Because I feel like a lot of times when I remember I was having a conversation with one of my guy friends last week, and he was talking to me about a very sensitive topic. And he was like, damn, I'm so glad that I have you to talk to, because I can't even talk to my guys about this. My guys won't understand. My guys will laugh at me about this. And like, I actually felt really sad, because I'm like, damn, like, you can't even talk to your guys about this, right? But it's not even about not having good friends. If you don't understand, and if you don't take the time to understand, then it's like you can never really have that conversation. You know what I'm saying?
Because I find that men have, I'm not saying for all men, they have more of a surface level friendship compared to women. I think women have more of a sisterhood, a deeper relationship. And I'm not just saying this, I've actually heard men say that, like, I noticed that women do have a deeper relationship. I'm not saying for all men.
And on top of that, men have been conditioned to appear macho, to be like emotionless, to be robots.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry to cut you off. I'm so sorry. But I really feel like with the whole sisterhood, I feel like that's mind my business bullshit. Because I really feel like, okay, when I was going through my stuff, for example, it was only one friend. Aside from that, everybody was like, oh, you're nagging, or you're complaining, okay, get over it. But I feel like for men, it's a thing where, my guy Alpha, they will still check up on you. They might not go deep.
It's very relative.
Hey, my loves, Oyin here. When I say YJ, you say Wigs. Okay, let's go. YJ? Wigs. That's right, YJ Wigs, the baddest hair vendor in the GTA. Do you want bouncy hair? Options are plenty. YJ Wigs is your go-to. The hair is succulent, good volume, no shedding. YJ Wigs is your girl. All you need to do is go on Instagram at YJ Wigs. Her website link is there, and just tell her Oyin sent you. Love and like. Bye.
It's very relative. I still feel personally that I find it very difficult. All right, to talk to another guy about stuff and everything. Normally, and I'm going to talk from a personal point of view. Of course, from the professional point of view, come and seek help, come and talk to somebody, blah blah blah. Me personally, I wouldn't. Number one, in the Nigerian community, you're giving your gist to someone. You're so sure that he's your brother. Like, you're talking to him and telling him about, oh, bro, I don't get anything again. Let me speak English. That means that I don't have anything. But for the purpose of this, like, I don't get anything, bro. Things are really, really red and everything. But he would take your gist and go give it to somebody else.
Exactly.
But okay, let me say something to you, Oyin. Oyin,
Wait, hold up. So like, let me land on something. But
You're talking.
yeah. You take my gist and give it because probably I might not be in your, because they are friends and they are core friends. All right, so we could be.
It's like acquaintances.
I could be friends with you, but you don't take me as a friend.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. I could be friends with you, but I could just be I could just be your acquaintance. Like you get. So we are not on that same level. But I feel that because I respect you in some certain light, so I feel like it's okay to take you as my friend. I'll invite you for all my hangouts and all that kind of stuff. But if you have a hangout, I might not be the first on your list. You could just be like, oh, Gab, no vex, or like, something just came up. It was last minute and blah blah. Or probably I hear that it has even happened. Then I invite you last minute and all that kind of stuff. So as I said, I still find it difficult because I still have that feel that I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. Amen. Amen. Hallelujah, somebody. Glory.
Hallelujah.
All right.
Here's my thing.
So I find it personally difficult.
With me personally, I find it difficult for two reasons. For one, because I'm a therapist, everybody thinks
you got your shit figured out,
right?
Yeah.
And many times, I even fool myself into thinking that as well. So I think one of you had that question in terms of how I deal with things. I think it was you, brother. So there's that. And then for two, yes, with my friends, there can be times where we get deep. I have some brothers who I will actually like go into depth with some of those things, but it's not touching those very like with I guess the whole host of them. You're not going very deep, especially right. I have some of them who will cry to me about certain things. I've had guys who've been in and out of jail. I have a mix of friends. I have guys who've been in and out of jail. I have guys who've pulled guns on people. And then I have other guys who are struggling with stuff in school or in their careers, etc. So I have a mixture of friends. But I'd say the piece about me being a therapist sometimes makes it very difficult. And I only have probably like on one hand people who I can actually talk about these struggles with. Because when people call me, they're looking for the answers. And so when I just had, let's say, a client or a patient come to me and talk about sexual abuse, I want to talk to somebody about how that vicarious trauma is affecting me. But if a brethren is calling me saying, listen, man, I just lost the next job, man. I've been out of jail for the past 3 months. I haven't been able to find anything. I'm like, okay, got to put my needs aside again. Let me be there for this guy. So that ends up being something that I struggle with. And then, of course, I don't want to place that burden onto my wife, right? And then I damn sure can't go to some of my cousins because, again, they're Jamaican. They'll just say, buck up. You're a big man. You're good. And I'm like, okay. So I can't go to some of my family. Not going to go and put all that on my wife. And then with some of my regents, they think, well, you're the one I'm coming to, so I can't go to you. So then what do I end up doing? I end up, finally, it was actually after my wife pushing me and me even saying to myself, I have to be a man that practices what they preach, where I finally started to come to some brothers and I'm like, listen, let me chat now. They're like, oh, shoot, D, you've been dealing with all of that? I'm like, yes.
David, you know what you are? You're that strong friend. And that was literally me. I was the strong friend. I was the friend that everyone would come to me, right? And then when the pandemic hit and I was facing my anxiety, I was like, whoa. And that's why I brought sisterhood, because in my experience, I'm so grateful that I have people that I can cry to and I can be transparent with and I can be open with. Not everyone is your friend. There's different types of friendships. Not everyone. There's some people that they just want to hear you vent so they can just spill the tea.
That's what I want to touch on.
And I definitely agree. Not everyone is sisterhood, but for my experience though, I do have sisterhood in my circle where I can be transparent and I can open up to other people and they take it. And I think it's very important to have that type of friendship, even if you're a man or a woman.
And I want to just touch on, you mentioned the whole guys and sisterhood, everything. Like, I really feel like, for me personally, I would rather go to a guy and offload to a guy. Like, for example, me talking to Rukky. Rukky will sit there, he will listen, he will give me advice, whatever. But then for the girls, it's like if I do that, and it's like, it's not a one-day thing. I want to keep going. I want to keep talking to you every day because I'm feeling better with talking to you. But it's like, once you have that argument, whatever you've discussed is going to go to someone else. So that's why I feel like if you're thinking of it that way, it's better for guys, because the guys, there's that bro code. Guys don't have time for drama like that. But for the girls, that's why I feel like when you, no matter how tight a sisterhood is, when you find out let's say in an argument, you find out, oh shoot, I told this person something about what I'm going through, and then they're using that to cuss you out, for example, or then you hear it somewhere else. It hurts you because it's like you thought that was your sister, and you opened up to her. You went to her for strength, right? And then what happened? They're going to tell someone else, or did you know? Let's say you lost your job, and they'll pretend to help you, God forbid, and it's like they can go, oh, did you know Esther lost? She lost her job in the pandemic. So it's like for me, that whole sisterhood talking, I'd rather go to a guy.
It's just this sisterhood. I just think getting 1, 2, 3 people that work for you, but be open-minded is what I just believe. Because if you don't need a group, like, because if this sisterhood fails you. You would never, you would never want to open up to anybody.
When I say sisterhood, I'm talking about like more, like it doesn't have to be 5, like intimate between 2 people. Yeah, because I definitely think quality.
But I was gonna say, you said a piece about advice, and I think I also want to touch upon that quite quickly in terms of people going to friends for advice and conflating that with therapy.
Yeah.
The two are not the same. And this is one of my major issues, especially because I'm a professional, I'm in the field. One of my major issues with social media is they have tried to simplify everything. They try to simplify law. They try to simplify medicine. They try to simplify therapy, psychotherapy, and all of that. And a lot of people end up believing that therapy is advice. It's not advice. It is being able to connect issues in your childhood, issues in your current life, understanding biology, understanding sociology, understanding psychology, interconnecting that to make a formulation, to conceptualize what is happening in your current life. And the reason I think that's important to understand is because a lot of Black people think that, well, I'm just going to my brethren for advice. Your brethren doesn't know nothing. Your brethren's going to say what you want to hear. Or if they don't say what you don't want to hear, they're not giving you guidance. So if you're in a relationship, for instance, and whether you're married, whether it's baby mama drama, whether it's just a situationship, whether it's just boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever it may be, and you're saying, listen, I'm struggling because me and her are having communication issues, or I'm struggling because she's a bit possessive, but I think it's because of her own trauma. You want to get vulnerable. This goes back to our conversation about vulnerability. That brother's going to be like, well, brother, just leave her then. And then he will be like, oh, okay, I'm just saying. You're not going to like what I have to say, but I'm going to let you know. But you're not going to guide him on how to do it. Or you're going to say, well, just stay in that relationship. That's advice. Versus you go to a therapist, we're going to walk you through it. We're going to say, okay, let's talk about it. We're going to process it. Protocols. And this is what ends up happening. So everybody listens to social media and says, oh, yeah, this is the advice. It's not advice, right? No, it's guidance. It's actual process, actually being able to conceptualize what is happening. So I think that's important for the viewers to understand. Advice and therapy are not synonymous. They're very different things. Advice is important, right? Your parents can give you advice. Your auntie, your grandma, your great-grandfather can give you advice. But a therapist is going to give you guidance, is going to process things, is going to help conceptualize things, help you understand why you do what you do, why you think how you think, why you feel how you feel. So I think that is an important piece to
say one more thing. That's really important. We need to check on our strong friends, right? Because, just like how you said, you're always giving out answers to everyone else, right? But who's there to check up on you, right? And for me as well, like just to touch on what you went through, right? When I lost my father, right, in 2018, I had to be the strong person for the family, right? And it's like, even till this day, I still have to be strong. So check on your strong friends, even though they appear to have everything all together, you don't know what they're going through, right? And it doesn't help to lend a listening ear, and don't be gossiping about their, just keep it within you.
Yeah, and I want to add to that, your strongest friends are the ones going through the most. That's why they're called the strong friends.
Listen to a whole lot.
Listen, they have their own arrows at the back, and they're still trying to shield you. So you need to check up on your strong friends, because listen, baby, those strong ones, they're committing suicide, because who can they talk to? They're tired of being strong. So please do that. And before we kind of wrap things up, I want both of you actually just look at that camera and just give advice. What advice would you give a viewer, 2, 3, whatever viewers we have, on how to deal with their mental health, and what advice would you just give people in general?
Okay, I'll go. So I'll say a couple things. I'll try to make sure and condense it. So healing is not a linear journey. right? You are not going to get the advice and you're going to be healed miraculously. No, you will be on this journey for the rest of your life, because once trauma occurs, it reorganizes the way your brain, the way your mind processes information. It rewires how you perceive things, right? A loud noise never used to startle you, or used to never startle you. Now it startles you. Quietness may not have affected you before, and now it affects you because it rewires how you understand things. So healing is not linear, but it's important. You understand? Religion is also important if used appropriately. Do not lean on religiosity in place of healing. Do not deny yourself your reality and experience what I call a religious psychosis, where you're going through hell, but you're going to act like you're in heaven, right? So we have to understand, please understand your reality. If you are stressed, deal with it. God is telling you to deal with it. He's not telling you to ignore it, right? Another piece is, please, 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 and I'll reiterate it again, do not rely on social media for your answers.
Everyone thinks they're motivational speakers.
Don't do it. Please don't do it. And my last piece would be to help people understand that there we go, that the pain is not going to go away. You just have to figure out different ways to work through it. It's not going to go away. A lot of people think, I'm going to go to therapy to get rid of the pain. The pain will probably be there, except you'll find different ways to heal through it, to the point where maybe it ends up going away. For instance, if you're grieving, if you lost a parent or something like that, you will never be able to fill that void. However, you will be able to better work through those challenging times. You'll be able to better understand all of that, right? So I say all of that for you all to, work with, and hopefully it helps improve your life.
Thank you so much. You have a...
All right, guys. I'll just end up with this.
All right, guys.
Come on, man. He said everything. Really, I was like, my guy. Okay. Yes, sir. Guys, hurt people. All right? We can't deny that fact. So that means that in your own small space, you might be experiencing that pain, that grief and everything. If you don't deal with it and seek the right help, all right? As I said, not just getting advice, getting the right help, you will end up hurting other people. And then we have this cycle of black folks, in quotes, having to not be able to speak properly because of the fact that we don't even know that we're not dealing with mental health issues properly.
Very good.
So we're going to have, if we're going to actually take this back home, what do we do from here?
Yes.
All right? How do we go forward from here? Remember that hurt people. That fear is hurt. That anger is hurt. When you can recognize that this is paranormal from my normal behavior, all right? You recognize that you need help.
Yes.
All right? Don't shy away from it. As I said, you don't get that answers from social media. The best your family or friend can do, your family friends or whatever, or your family itself, the best they can do is just to comfort you. It's just like a band-aid. It doesn't heal. It doesn't take care of the underlying factor. So seek help. All right? Seek help. And believe me, this help that we have out there from psychotherapists and all that kind of good stuff, it's very confidential.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right? A lot of people feel that if I don't tell my mother that I'm going to go get this and all that kind of stuff, then that means that I'm going away from some family bond and whatever it is. How about we say it like this? God provided these resources for us. Medicine was inspired by God. All right?
Yeah.
What is it? Mental health or your psychologist, everything. It was all inspired. All right? So don't take it as until I'm sick and I'm having temperature and all that kind of stuff, then I go to the hospital. Take your mental health as also something worth being treated. All right? And I hope that the world is a better place for all of us living.
Thank you.
Listen, this was very serious.
So
I think this
deep.
is the most serious, deep episode we've had.
Because I thought you guys used to swear a lot on this show. I was waiting for 40. Even for yourself, I was waiting for when I started hearing brethren. Brethren. I was like, bro. It was not come up.
I want to just do a quick, because this was just too deep. I feel like we need some ice in here. There's an icebreaker. Just a quick one, just to go around. Let's one quick game. Name game. Oh, you have a game?
Name game? What's the name game?
So name game is we'll just say name of fruits. We'll just go around twice. Whoever loses, will end that way. Okay, so we're gonna go this way. Name of fruits: banana,
Apples.
Papaya.
Cucumber.
Banana.
you're out. Let's one more round. You're out. Okay, color: pink,
Orange.
Red.
Brown.
white.
Yellow.
Black.
Okay, that's 3. Jesus is Lord. Designer: Gucci.
Fendi. Oh.
You're out.
Let's just say I won, okay? Okay.
Wow.
No, but this was great. Thank you so
my
much.
gosh.
We're gonna close things off. So, guys, thank you so much for watching. It was a very serious topic, but of course it is needed. And I think I mentioned earlier, if you have benefits at work, go to EAP, Employee Assistance Program, 24 hours, confidential, and you can actually give the number to your friend that doesn't have benefits at work. They don't need to actually work there to actually get into this thing, and you can do it for like 3-4 weeks, spread it out, whatever it is, but get that help. Therapy is healthy, it's good, it's not bad. You don't need to be sick, depressed to seek therapy. Just go and just talk, okay? And listen, if you have salty friends, if you feel like you can't talk to your friends, move them to the side and go and seek a therapist, okay?
Yes.
Push it and going, okay?
Right.
But once again, this episode is sponsored by YJ Wigs. You can see my bundles, Bone Streets installation by her.
So only you guys get to wear the wigs now. We don't get to.
Even wig, we can hook you up, boys.
We can hook you up.
YG wig.
You want YJ? Yeah. But yeah, so YJ, babes, thank you so much. And I'm Oyin,
Esther.
Victoria.
joined by lovely, lovely guest.
David.
And Rukky.
And this is Insync Toronto. Thank you, we love you. Goodbye.